They shoot the shit. They shoot the shit. Shoot, 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 shit, shit, shit. Shooting the shit with Chippa.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Shooting the Shit with Chippa, one of four of the podcasts that I produce. You can find me at patreon.com/thechippa. I do the Chipman Brothers Tangent with my brother, the Talkbuster podcast, Creating Geeks, and this one. Recently, you've probably heard I did a rundown of PAX East with a friend of mine on his show, the Pumpkin Copter Cast. That's Tyler Gorman. We went down our experiences at PAX, and one of those experiences was, this PAX is a giant gaming expo. It's the first time I've ever been to anything like that, even though I've been a gamer since before I could use my thumbs, because my brother, brought an Atari 2600 and then a Nintendo into our house, and we had a Commodore 64 and an Amiga 500, and it just blew up from there. But I'm so happy I finally got there, but it's very overwhelming. And I'm walking down the hall with my friends the second day we're there in the indie game area, and a guy's walking by and says, "Hey, I heard you and your friends talking about, I think we were talking about Lord of the Rings or something." We were walking by. He goes, "You're probably into this game my son made. You should come over here and check it out." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, of course." You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not often you get like a carnival barker type thing, that kind of walks by and goes, "Come this way," So it's like, yeah, we'll go over here. And we met you, and we met Brian, and you gave me the rundown of the game, and I think all it took me to hear was 17 playable characters in an RPG, and I went, "Whoa!" And this guy made this game himself. All right, I got to talk to you more. And so, without further ado, my guest tonight, please introduce yourself, buddy.
Hi, I'm Matt Pappalardo. I'm the creative director for Horizon's End. We made a game called The Great Gaias, and like you said, we met at PAX from my partner's father, Big Al, salesman at heart, roped you in.
That was perfect. Yeah. By the way, I keep hearing like a clicking from your headset. I don't know if you're adjusting it or anything, but it keeps making a weird noise.
All right, I might have to switch over to maybe like a Apple headphones. If that's the case, it could also be my chair.
It's not super bad. It just sounds like a little like crunching every once in a while.
Would you want me to switch them up?
I mean, it's not super distracting. I just figured I'd let you know in case you were doing something you didn't realize.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'll try to be as quiet as possible.
No, it's all good. It's not so bad. All right. So hey, yeah, I'm gonna edit that part out. So back to it. So you're Matt, and you and your partner Brian made this game called The Great Gaias. Tell us before we get into that where you're from. Where were you born?
Oh, well, me and Brian born in Amityville, Long Island, and we met in Amityville. That's where we grew up. So if you heard of the Amityville Horror House, we live around the block from that.
The house I live in is the same exact type of house. So every time somebody sees it, they go, "Oh Jesus!" It's got nice center side by side windows. Yep, exactly.
Very cool. Yeah, so we grew up here, playing these games growing up. We're from the era when the Nintendo era. So Final Fantasy 1, Dragon Quest 1 through 4. Those were the kind of games we loved growing up, and with the limited technologies available, we really got into story making and got into D&D later in life. And when we finally had met, we liked the same things, and we were playing Ultima Online together, trading Illusion of Gaia for Chrono Trigger cartridges, and just playing these old school games when we were, just growing up. And we started playing D&D, and I captivated a lot of people off of the Dungeons and Dragons table growing up. The Great Gaias has evolved from a codex, the Codex Eternal, which is my campaign setting. It's kind of my War of the Lands, the kind of kickoff of what we were doing. But we ran that campaign 3 times over the course of, I'd say, 5 years. And most of the stories, a little Hollywood in there, but most of the stories came right from the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and were kind of based on what the players were doing and where they were going, kind of in my world. We sat there with crayons and made a map, and had a lot of fun, and I started making this game in college. And Brian saw it. He's like, "Oh my god, this is our campaign setting. That's my character." And I was like, "Yeah, man, this is what I'm doing during economics class." And and he was like, "Dude, I want to pay for this and try to like get some graphics going." And we wound up spending like 7 years and $40,000, and the Great Gaias came out of it. It's kind of our hats off to those great games from the Super Nintendo era, the Chrono Triggers, Final Fantasy VI, vernacular, with our own spin of infusing kind of the Dungeons and Dragons aspect into it, which we're branding a westernized fusion JRPG. So we're taking, in our next title, we're taking like a Baldur's Gate feel infused inside of like the JRPG. Like there's all different types of stats and kind of just mechanics that are just wildly amazing that we've been working on. I don't want to go too far into that though.
All right, spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. So 7 years. So how long has it been out to purchase? Like, how long has this been like dropped onto the world?
Next month will mark a year as being sale.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been up and down. We're having troubles kind of marketing. That's the kind of the boring stuff. We want to be making stories and battle systems, rather than working on Facebook and social media. And I mean, we're the '80s. We need some young bucks to do that stuff for us one day.
Right, exactly.
When we start making money, obviously.
Well, you're talking to a 35-year-old with a podcast over here, and I had just started doing these, so I feel like the old guy in the room too on this stuff. But this show has a pretty big reach, so hopefully this helps you out. I'm hoping.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, man.
But so before we get into the Great Gaias, I mean, you got into it a lot. Actually, let me ask that first question. I was thinking, so of your friends, outside of Brian, but your other friends that you had played that campaign, have they had a good reaction to the game? Like, have they got to play it and seen what you did, or
It has been a chore to keep them playing it over the course of the years. They were so excited at first, and we've a lot of been through, but they've played so many iterations at the beginning and going through it and stuff like that. So originally, two of my friends were like, "We're not going to play it until the end," but a couple of my guys, they were battle testing for me and going through all the all the stuff, and they like blown away by it. I kind of coined those guys the original companions. So, if you're playing the game and Potts' character is Brian, my character was Virgil, my friend Bill's Belcass and Nate's Brugger, and so on and so forth. But yeah, most of all of them have really enjoyed, and I think it's cool for them to see that they've like become a part of it and a part of something that's pretty massive undertaking. It's a great story with a lot of heart, pretty dark, pulls no punches.
No, yeah.
But no, they've really been really supportive, and some of them still around. I mean, over the course of 7 years of making that game, I mean, now we're pushing 8 years now with it being released. So, a lot of the original companions have gone to different parts of the country, and a couple of us left. We're thinking about kicking off maybe a one-shot D&D campaign one day down the road. But
nice.
So much stuff being busy. I've been a retired DM for quite some time now.
Yeah, D&D is a hard thing to get back into. I was so happy to get a chance to play a one-off at the Dwarven Forge booth at PAX.
That's fun.
That's the first time I had played in like 4 years, and I was so happy because I got into D&D in my adult life. Me and my wife ended up getting an apartment in college, and my group of friends that I worked at Blockbuster with, who were the type of group that would play Dungeons and Dragons, one of them ended up having a campaign that he had inherited from someone else and to continue it, and we sat down and played, and it became cool. It became a weekly thing, and it was great. They'd come up to Lowell, and it was a pretty big hike for all of them, but we'd sit down and have a damn good time. And it's funny that you mentioned this spawned out of a D&D campaign, because I catch a lot of the D&D play mechanics. I like the use of dice rolls within the game.
I mean, we're just scraping the surface here in the Great Gaias, and at first I thought that was really really cool, but like, you know, I like the mechanics of like the dice rolls with the lock picking, the mining, but with our next title, Yallarhorn, dude, it is infused. I mean, even the battle system, all the monsters are rolling initiative.
Nice.
There's fortitude saves and reflexive saves. All of the magic is completely D&D based, like posed as like a Final Fantasy X kind of conditional turn-based battle. So it's very, very fast. It's very, very dangerous. You can't die. So you just get like kicked back to town, and you wake up at the end. You've lost half your gold, like the old school Dragon Warriors.
Yep.
And
I loved that.
Dude, I mean, we really think we've made something special here. I know people have tried to do this before, but I think we've really found a way to infuse a D&D true JRPG game.
Well, and remember me, you know, obviously, I'm sure I'll run into you again, and we'll stay in touch. But whenever that's available, whether it's an alpha or a beta or whatever, I have to play it. Because you already have me hooked. As a guy that doesn't have time for games like this, you already have me hooked on Great Gaias.
It's gonna be well, the Great Gaias is a big undertaking. I've seen people on Steam, they've dumped 290 hours into getting the perfect ending. I mean, I put a bunch of side quests in there. The stories are all enriched, so I'm not putting side quests for the sake of side quests. Everything enhances the narrative. It unlocks a 10,000 year timeline of history. And I know you're not really into this, but I'll give you kind of the basis of what the Great Gaias really becomes. Is that it's basically a game about reborn souls and reincarnation. So. Yep. The Great Gaias itself is like the TV guide for the gods. And if they've deemed you like entertaining and worthy of being, you know, continuing to keep them entertained, they write your name into the Great Gaias, and your soul is allowed to be reborn into the world. Now, there's a 3-year timeline within the Great Gaias. And within these years, all of the souls of the Great Gaias exist as, like, on the earth. And you're basically playing through one of them, unlocking like your past lives and like seeing how that's played out, and you're trying to like correct something that they did incorrectly in the past, and it takes you through a world of different cultures and timelines. There's time magic. You see memories of things. It's fantastic, man. I really can stand behind that. You know, a passion over profit project for sure. You know, 2 core developers with 20 fantastic artists that all breathe life into our D&D campaign. I mean, this is digitalized. I mean, you know, each one of these characters is specifically tailored towards somebody that I know personally. It is
so friggin' cool.
Yeah, man.
You're actually giving me chills just listening to it right now.
Dude, I'm excited for you to hear it and to experience it, man. It's fantastic, you know.
No,
Don't
get really
too attached though. I'm kind of like George R. R. Martin. I like to kill people, so
nice.
You know.
No, so you know, like I said, I've only scratched the surface, but I was even like, you know, with some RPGs it takes some time, right? You know, to get the play mechanics down, to understand what direction it's taking you in, because you went with a familiar aesthetic. You know, for a guy like me that's, you know, played all of those games that you mentioned that were an inspiration, it felt like second nature, you know, to switch it on. It felt like second nature, but it also, the way it moved, the way the characters talked, the way the mechanics worked, it also felt brand new all at the same time. You
Thank
know,
you.
And I mean it. I mean it. Like, I was sitting next to my wife on the couch when I booted it up, and I just went, look at this. And she looked over and she goes, that game is beautiful. And I said, yeah. And I go, isn't it? It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, we really tried to pay homage to, you know, the Square and Squaresoft days and Enix days of old. You know, those are, like I was saying earlier, you know, we grew up like playing these stories, and like, you know, things touched your heart when Ares died, or when Masa and Mune like turned to, you know, like to make the sword, or Palom and the other chick from Final Fantasy IV, and they like saved their lives and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, I'm like crying over little pixel people. I can't believe like the music that Nobuo was able to breathe into. We have 2 fantastic composers that.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. The music, even in the menus, you know, like before it even starts up, it just pulled me right in.
They did a fantastic job.
So, question on that, to dial back a little bit because we're already getting into the design. What you said you started working on this game in college. What pointed you towards game design? Were you using like a game design software package, or do you have a background in design? Like what, or were you
I
going to
have a
school for
background in
design?
design. I'm going to school for design, but it's not doesn't have anything to do with video games. Well, I mean, it does actually now that I can see it clearly. But I'm actually an architect by trade. That's what
Oh,
I
sweet! I'm
went
a
to school
mechanical
for.
engineer.
Oh, sweet. We should do jobs. I have plenty of work all over the country.
Nice.
We'll talk about that later, but that's cool,
Yeah.
man. So yeah, so it's funny, while I was learning architecture, all of the houses that you'll experience in the beginning of the game. And chapter one's a little bit more rough than other chapters. And I mean, people complain a little bit about it, people that played the game for 10 hours and never really hooked you, because it starts to really get you later. Because then I really started to focus on character development, and everything kind of gets whirlwinded a little quickly in the beginning, But we've dialed it back a little bit, and as we've polished the game through. But that was one of the big things in the beginning, that we were trying not to give too much of an exposition dump, but there's so much to say. But anyway, we get back into to the building design. As you go through the game, you'll actually notice that all the houses and stuff get much nicer and well thought out. It's like, oh man, that is a Center Hall Colonial, or like the floor plan
Nice.
layout start to really take shape. By chapter 3, there's like really crazy intricate castles and things to explore. I mean, you go through all different types of stuff, and everything was fused by player choice too. So choice versus choice and consequence was a driving force to a lot of the kind of story narrative that you'll experience here, which is a cool factor.
That's awesome. So what did you use to make the game then? You ended up getting, designers and stuff helping you, but like
Yes,
as you were piecing it together at the beginning, like
I started playing with I back in the day I played with Neverwinter Nights tool set engine to like kind of try to make a
oh,
game.
right.
And then I worked with RPG Maker 2003 back in the day, just like kind of, just messing around. But then I actually, there was a free, like a $20 trial on Steam for RPG Maker VX. And my friend, who's a really, really awesome coder now, he helped us with a lot of stuff early on in the game. He was going to make us a text-based, like a mud game. I don't know, like you're my age. So maybe you remember Multi-User Dungeon back in the day, where it's like
yes.
text-based RPGs, and like people would like roll dice online, all these different types of, just interesting ways that, people could be creative with one another, but in like an online user phase. So we were going to make like basically a choose your own adventure. Now Netflix just made one,
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was pretty cool too. But we were gonna make basically a dungeon, like me being the dungeon master, but instead I was gonna make branching paths and stuff like that. But he never got around to it, so we got bored waiting, and I just started making the campaign with RPG Maker. And I probably just worked on it while during certain classes in school or after school, and then, like I said, when Brian finally saw it, we took it from RPG Maker, and then we ported it over to RPG Maker MV in 2015, when we started getting really serious about like actually cranking the game out. And the interface was JavaScript, and Brian knew how to code a little bit, so we started to tailor some like really cool systems and break away from the RPG Maker aesthetic and tool set, and started breaking the systems and hiring programmers. And we had a composer that was really interested in the project. He did like Aaron Crow did all of the tracks for free up until a point where I paid him for that. But like he really loved the project, and unfortunately he couldn't finish it off. So we met Brian Davis, who is a fantastic like up and coming composer. He can really understands the way, I'm the creative director of the company, so it's kind of my responsibility, and obviously as the writer as well, to kind of like take that tonal effect. So Brian Davis and me worked really hand in hand together to tailor some of this with some really cool battle music for some of like these immortal warlords that you'll meet later and stuff. And it's It's really cool, man. I figure, a lot of people say this to me, like some people at PAX and some people that have met me more than once at some of these conventions. And they were like, you could roll in a lot of these games that you've played in the past. And you touched base on that earlier, of that feel of like, it felt familiar to you. Like people come up to me and ask me if that was Final Fantasy VI, which felt good to me, in a way.
Especially that's what you're going for. Yeah. It's like,
And you know what? I made this game. Like I said, it took 7 years and a lot of our money that we just floated on our own. As we went on as hobbyists for most of this until the very end when we started to really try to crank it out. And made a really beautiful story, new graphic overhauls and stuff. But I really did make this game for people of our generation. That this is the stuff that touched your heart when you were like 10 years old, freaking, humming Final Fantasy songs as you're, going to class or something,
right.
Because that was me, so that's who I'm making this game for. Now, this next game, I'm making it for us, but it's gonna, I think that I'm gonna hold no bars here. This is gonna be a challenging game. I'm gonna really try to spank some people in this next one.
Nice.
Because I like to, challenge. It's lost in the sophistication of these games nowadays. They're just reskinning things with graphics, and where's the challenge? Where's the gameplay? Where's just the love in the story? People are trying to crank out these titles, and I got complaints. Oh, I charged $30 for an RPG Maker game. Well, I'll tell you, it's one of the biggest RPG Maker games that has ever been made. I can guarantee that.
Dude, like I had no problem paying the price for this. And full disclosure to people out there, I got, a discount card from PAX, but there's plenty of games people are dropping $60 on that don't have an eighth of the amount of depth I've played in this already. Just walking around. No, I mean it, like seeing the lighting and again, people don't think about this cuz we don't think back on the Super Nintendo, early PlayStation days or even the NES days of you move into looking at games now and you think about lighting a lot in games. A game that's really well lit in 3D is a hard thing to do, right? And when they pull it off, it's gorgeous. And when they don't pull it off, it's terrible. But the lighting in your game, and I feel weird talking about 2D sprites, but it's the truth. The lighting in the indoor areas in this is it really threw me, because in that first little area you're wandering around and you kind of get thrown into you're in that house and you walk around with the guards and you go, okay, where's my save point? Like that's what I started saying in my head. Okay, first thing I got to do is I got to go find a place to save because I'm gonna die. Like that's like all I was thinking at the beginning there, just because and then you're down in this like basement and there's stealth involved. I'm watching this and I'm like, where? Like you're dropping me right into an RPG, and it's usually the first mission or the first intro to a game is go wander around, wander the countryside, go for anything. You're like, no, there's just a little submission right now. Like you meet with your buddy and he goes into the house and it's like, okay, what am I doing now? I just fell right into it, and it begs you to play it, and the lighting in there just threw me because I'm looking at it and going, I didn't expect to be just kind of ogling this game already. Like at this point, I wanted to go look in every corner and go in every room just to see it.
There's a lot to find, man. We have collectibles like the tiny medals that you see in like Dragon Quest, our inspiration for Celestium Shards. We have 110 of those. I think only maybe 10 people in the entire world have found all of them right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So how many do you I'm assuming you track this kind of thing. How many copies of this have you sold?
I would say we're coming up on 1,500, I would say.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's not a small number.
Yeah, it's better than, we make a little bit of money and we throw it at Yallerhorn, which is our second title coming out. We do that every month and float the bills, and we have a lot of fun. We've kind of, a couple of my friends now that did a lot of the trailer work and video production. Matt Ash, he's now working on some of the maps with us too, and it's kind of like just the culture. I mean, we don't get paid for this stuff, We're just trying to make.
I'm assuming then that this, you're running a game company, of course, and this isn't your main job then. So you've got a full-time thing on top of this, right? So that's crazy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yep, yeah. No, I do architecture and restaurant design for around the country for small box retail to individual fast casual restaurants and stuff like that. Did some good stuff too,
Wow.
some hotels.
So
So it's
yeah, that definitely shows in the layout of the buildings in the game. Now that you mentioned that,
right. It's
um,
also given me a good systematic approach to things now. So from the study of all that types of order and hierarchy, so it's really cool, and I've gained a lot of knowledge from just all the stuff that I've in the past. So of like just reading medieval high fantasy books and stuff like that, and trying to like block up loopholes. I mean, the narrative's been being built for 13 years in the Great Gaias, so it's
oh God, I can't imagine
and
locking up
it
loopholes.
is the first part of 7 titles. So it's if we ever get there, me and Brian joke that that's the way the horizon is going to end, and we're just going to get to the last title, and we're going to have to get Brandon Sanderson to finish it, like in Wheel of Time.
Uh, so yeah, is the name of the company? What's the inspiration for that?
To be honest, it's kind of how we always thought of we borrowed Square's kind of coloring for our
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
So, there was always a rumor that, Final Fantasy was going to be their last kind of Final Fantasy. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of our inspiration. We have a corny slogan, where the horizon ends, the journey begins.
Yep, yep.
And,
I like that.
yeah, so, that's mysterious, but kind of corny, but I like it.
Oh, it's
So
not as corny as every hero has a Genesis.
yeah, that was pretty bad. I see what they did there though, but that was
No, I mean
a little
it's
rough.
yeah, exactly. It's corny
Little rough.
enough to work, I guess.
Yeah. Jim Carrey's gonna have to save that movie. Let me tell you.
Oh boy, yeah, yeah. When the has-been anti-vaxxer has to save your movie, you know you got a problem.
Oh man, yeah. Poor Jim.
No, yeah, exactly. He looks like he's having fun though. I'll give him that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what really is the most important thing, and that's kind of what the Horizon's End really means. Because there is no real end to that. So, we're going to keep doing this, and we love sharing stories, and we just want to keep doing it. So, we failed a couple Kickstarters in the beginning and stuff, and if that
Wow.
doesn't show your resolve to keep going, I don't know what does, man. We just failed another one for freaking Yallerhorn, but we didn't. We were trying to show just like a little Final Fantasy Tactics thing because we've been having a lot of fun, and we're trying to just use our money now so we have a lot of programming that's going into this next title, and
So if
it's
you
coming out.
so if you fail the Kickstarter on it, how do you plan on funding it? Like, what's the current?
We're just going to do it the same way as we've always done it. Just it won't be out in a year now. So maybe
Roger.
maybe you'll see Yallerhorn in 3 years from now. But we're going really fast. We're keeping it small, but the systematic gameplay that we're going for is choice and consequence. Your main character doesn't talk like Chrono from Chrono Trigger, but you choose all of your decisions, and they change your fame, and your karma gets raised and lowered. You can steal and beg and mine. It's like Stardew Valley meets Final Fantasy Tactics job system meets Final Fantasy X used with D&D. It's pretty sick. All looking like Chrono Trigger too. It looks beautiful. I'll send you some screenshots. I don't know if you post any images of this next game, but I'll give you a spoiler if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd love to see what it looks like. Yeah,
Yeah, 16 pieces, all augmented gear. It's insane, man.
I'll keep them just for me too, so I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah.
No, I just as I was looking for you guys on Twitter, I stumbled upon that game, and I was like, oh man, this sounds kind of like, oh, it is those guys. All right.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, that's wild.
We're trying to get a little bit better. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So, it really is. I'm happy to get you on. You're my first connection from PAX, and I really do mean it. That I was taken
There's
by
70,000 people there, so I'm that's.
Well, you're the
that.
first one I followed through on. You know what I mean? Like I've set up some other things, but this one was important to me because I didn't know what to expect with PAX. I mean, I knew to expect that it would be a good time, but I wasn't sure. Is this going to be okay? I'm going to sit around and I'm going to be kind of like bug-eyed and oh, look at all the cool stuff from Sony and look at all the cool stuff from Nintendo. And instead, they were all there and their stuff was cool. But I spent the majority of my time at the indie tabletop areas and the indie game area, and I I really do mean it. Like, chance encounters as they go. That little like carnival barker thing that Brian's dad did. That was really that struck me because it's like I want to see this game he's talking about. And the way he was kind of like, I don't know, my son makes games. It's one of those RPG things. You're gonna like it. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna follow over here. And it really, I didn't even play your game while you were there. I just talked to you for like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's all you need, man.
And that's why I said the next day, like, remember, I came back the next day and I'm like, I have to find the Great Gaius guy because I have to buy that game. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know if I was going to have time to play it, and I'm just like, I have to buy it because your pitch was great. And it's great to hear somebody enthusiastic,
Right.
about it. Like think about it this way. How old are you, Matt?
I'm going to be 33, and
right.
I don't know,
And you and at 33 years old, right? You made a game that's equivalent to your favorite games from when you were like 10. How cool is that?
That's what I keep telling Brian. I was like, yeah, we just made a legacy. Something is going to live beyond us, and will be maybe not remembered, but that will be remembered, and we made that. So I like that.
But remember, I think everybody that stumbles upon this is going to remember it. And so, what's like your obviously making the game is probably your favorite experience, but like, have you stumbled upon people that like have like found the game and sought you out to ask you about it, or like are there stories like that?
Yeah, there is, and not so much, but like people, oh, I met you at that last one, like Beyond 50 Cent, so that feels good, so they're remembering, but we do get some interesting Facebook messages, I will say, and somebody, I'm not going to spoil anything about the actual game because I want you all to play it, right. But somebody like was very like concerned about characters' well-being and things like that, and and that actually made me feel like, oh man, this guy is freaking invested. But that's I'm going for that, man.
But like right, like you created connection with the 2D sprites, right?
Yeah,
you had that moment.
How do you do that? I'm gonna do it again though. I think this next one's we got something really good, man. I really do. I'm so excited for it. Even failing Kickstarter, people they don't even know. The Yallerhorn is coming for everybody.
So that's awesome. So obviously as a DM, you get the idea of story structure. This got built out of that, but obviously as a developer of a game like this, you live and breathe this game, but 70 plus hour, like you said, that's about what you think it would take if you just played the game. That's a big game, right? Yeah. And all of these
we speed ran it on the development side. Brian, who's beaten the game more than anyone, I'll tell you right now, he figured out he did I don't even want to say it, but he wrote a game FAQ about how you can beat it with just pots, and it took him like 4 or 5 months to do. But he was like crafting all this special stuff, and like I was like, how did you even figure this stuff out? I guess because you made the game with me, but it was really, really cool. And I don't want to say that it's easy because a lot of people are complaining about it, that it being too hard. But I also understand the kind of the generational gap between Nintendo to what's going put out by AAA right now. And I just watched this video from I forget who it was, but they were talking about how all of games' hard modes are actually the real games, and normal modes are, have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah,
I think it's sad, but
I do like it's funny because I miss games being a challenge, but also, and I really do. But I also like the idea of there being a way for someone that just isn't able to deal with which is why I like
inclusive.
Good. But I also don't, I don't think that they should only make it that way. You know, Having
brought
that
up
like
the Doom
ability of,
structure.
okay, yeah, I've
The
tried
Doom
this a million
structure.
times. I'm never gonna see it. That's why I like Let's Plays, because there's some games from when I was younger that I just, when you're a young kid and you have a PlayStation and you don't really have that much else to do, you end up with a crap load of games. You can't beat a crap load of games, right? So when I first got my PlayStation, I got Final Fantasy VII. It had only Final Fantasy VII, and I spent every waking hour of my life playing Final Fantasy VII, and I beat it. But then after that, it's like, no, now I have 20 games, and I'm playing through all 20 of those games at once. So it was kind of fun to go back to games I hadn't finished and see how they end. I
Right.
thought that was kind of cool. But and so thinking of like a young kid getting that option of, but when I was a young kid, I kept trying. And
Right.
I was think
See, that's what I was aiming at. I
yeah.
feel people give up now. People give
And,
up. And
and
that's the sad part, Like I've built a game where you feel good. Like you're gonna come up to chat in chapter 2 and you're gonna face one boss fight and you're gonna be like, this is what he was talking about, and you're gonna feel really good when you beat it.
right, and
And
I think that is definitely missing. I liked when I played Breath of the Wild, and again, I won't call Breath of the Wild the hardest game ever made, but
it was difficult some parts though.
Nintendo definitely had there was some Dark Souls influence in a lot of that. And I loved the fact that game, it was basically you're farming your character and you're farming and learning. I loved the learning in that game of it wasn't like they set up, okay, this one action does this one thing, which gets you to this one area. The game was try this, try this. You know what? By the way, if there's a lightning storm and you throw your sword at an enemy and it sticks in the middle, fucking electrocute him. And I went, that's awesome. And the fact that I had to keep going back to Ganon battles, because there's only about like what 5 or 6 of them, of those miniature Ganon, whatever they called them in the game. But
Right.
I loved the idea of, okay, I failed at that. How did I fail? And going back in and trying again. Okay, cool, I made it to the 3rd stage of this boss, and crap, I
Right.
still fail. Why is that? Oh, and
So
I like that idea, and that I think that's what you're describing with yours is people have to live in the world. They have to learn and build upon their characters and figure out and troubleshoot, and there's something to be said for that. And it doesn't always have to be, oh, the way we make our game long is to give it unlimited fetch quests.
no, that this is straight story most of the
I can
time.
already tell.
It's straight story, man. Like there's 60 hours of story here that, if you, but there's more. I mean, if you can look everywhere, there's books on the bookshelf, there's,
I've
hidden
already seen that.
characters. And, it's, we just took a lot of time to make that. Every apple crate has an apple in it. It's crazy the way that everything just kind of like coincides and enhances the narrative too. Even the little NPCs, they say like little stories or they'll say something vague about something, but like that actually could mean something. Like later, like there's a Steam thread online that one of our big fans wrote, and it was like the unsolved mysteries of the Great Gaias. And I was going through the whole list. I don't want to reveal too much about it, but there was parts that was like, oh man, I cut that part out. He's asking about it. How do you find that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't tell them. I don't want to fill their heads with being really, really good. But our last boss is really, really difficult. Our well, he's an optional boss, but to get the perfect ending, you got to beat him.
And in that is a creator, right? I think, obviously, you make a product, you want to make money. There's that going on with anything, right? But you also made a piece of art. You made your story. You put something that you did with your friends out there for everybody to experience. And I just can't even imagine the rush it must be to find something like that where you go, man, they figured that out, or man, somebody or somebody's interpreting it differently, and you know what? I didn't even think of it that way, but that's really cool.
I'll probably watch every Let's Play video that ever comes out for this game, probably for the rest of my life, to be honest. Because
that's amazing.
Like some people got stopped. There's like 3-4 people that were doing it. Now there's only one dude. He's like at the end, and I've been watching him. On our last life. He's getting there. And
Wow.
it's cool. It's cool watching people and speaking about it. That's why I always, all my friends, when they would play some of the game, I'd be sitting here trying to work on it, but I'd wind up watching them play it instead. And no, it feels really good, especially when I the most depth. Brian does a lot of the battle mechanics and all the battle tailors and skills. He like went through every single one of these pixel abilities to like make them unique for mostly everything. The way that the sprites moved. Like I even seen that in Octopath Traveler. They don't have that kind of stuff. They ain't like the Chrono Trigger days.
The battles in this were it was a cool melding of again a very familiar thing, but then the way the clicks happen and the way the refill meter for your attacks and the counters, and I'm just watching it and I'm going, this just moves. It's like tweaked just enough where it feels, like I said, it just feels fresh. Everything about it feels fresh, and yet you're going for a very familiar aesthetic. And I really do mean this. Like, and I've only scratched the surface. But
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying your enthusiasm bled through into this game. It's not just it's not just you that's in love with this thing. I can tell that's awesome.
A lot of people really put a lot of heart and soul into it. Even the artists and stuff. Getting everything just right, and it's been a fantastic ride. And you were saying before about the boss mechanics and stuff. We actually took a pretty modernized approach of like dealing with the way that these boss mechanics work to make them challenging. It's not just a grind fest. Some stuff in the beginning, you can out level it a little bit, and it should be pretty easy. But we take it from phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's only five or six phase 5 bosses in the game, but the rest build on different types of mechanics that can coincide together. And we actually really thought this out to make some challenging stuff. And you'll see things pass through from Dungeons and Dragons, like Dragon Fear and stuff like that. So you'll need to have protection from fear, put the paladin in your party because he's immune to it and he's got his aura and stuff. And it's 17 characters, but they're all really unique. There's no real overlap on moves aside for some healing spells. Other than that, they're all really unique. They all play well. I do Final Fantasy VI Wrath style Chapter 3 that your guys will split up, and that's when the character development really gets really good. I started taking it really seriously. It was after Brian started hey, we should really make this. And as we went back and polished a lot of the stuff in the beginning. But from the end of Chapter 2 on, it really starts to shine as something special. When you get into there's elven cities, and when you see the art that everybody made for this, it's pretty nice, man. It's probably one of my favorite. If I saw this game in the 90s for Super Nintendo, I would have to play it. Then that's kind of what I emulated and made it for everybody that feels the same, because there actually is a lot of us out there, I think. Between RPG people from the olden days.
Right. It's awesome. And it's cool because you go back and see those games, people are still talking about them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not a fluke. And they weren't, smash hits either. They did very well, but these games, people still talk about them because of what the game meant to them. Not necessarily that it was, the blockbuster seller for that year, right? They were labors of love, and the people that played them kept playing them because it was a labor of love.
Yeah, and the stories touch people's hearts. It kind of it's like the Beatles, the Grateful Dead, going across the country and sweeping up all these fans and stuff like that. It creates a whole culture within itself. So it's pretty amazing. The diehard fans of the genre. I like that.
And it's cool because you see a lot of companies going back to the same well, right? The Mega Man series did it with Mega Man 9 and 10, which were you know, fantastic versions. And God, you want to talk about games that were still made difficult? Jesus.
Yeah.
And Mega Man 11, which I have, which did a more modernized but still 2D art aesthetic. But it's cool that those companies are recognizing it too. That you know, there's a need for this. It's not. It's just because the technology brought you past it doesn't mean that there wasn't still something to say within that aesthetic.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's why I think that, you know, maybe in a couple of years we release the second title. You know, maybe it gets popular, because I've been seeing a lot of people wanting these types of games that make them feel nostalgic like this. And you know, this is the Great Gaias. You know, we never had a complaint with somebody that actually sat there and got the game and started playing it. You know, a couple of people got stomped by some bosses, and you know, I think the game's imbalanced, but whatever.
Hey, you know, it's being run by a DM, and you know, DMs out of anyone else know about balance. If you kill your whole party too many times, they're not going to want to play anymore.
Sure.
But you don't want to make it so easy for them that they fall asleep.
Absolutely.
It's a two double sided, right? So
Absolutely.
you guys are still in Long Island?
Yep. We're still here. I'm still in Amityville. Brian's up on the North Shore. But yeah, I'm
Nice.
still in the same house. You know, we were affected by Hurricane Sandy and stuff like that. So we were to rebuild and lift the house and all that crazy stuff. And me and Brian back in like 2013, we're actually like just with laptops in the car outside of the house, working, tapping on the neighbor's Wi-Fi.
No
Don't tell the neighbors.
shit.
Yeah, man, that was a long time ago.
Oh man, I like. There's like a documentary about this playing in my head while you're talking about it. You know,
no, it's 7 years, a long time. You know, I went through college. You know, it was an insane thing.
and you know what? The other part that's great about this is I went to college with a lot of people that were, you know, enthusiastic about everything other than what they were doing in college. And again, that's, you know, we all fall into that, right? We're all geeks about something. You know,
Sure.
I had a roommate who dropped out of school for Counter-Strike. You know, apparently he plays it professionally now, and that's what he does for a career. Good on him. You know what I mean?
Man.
But you know, it's great to hear from someone that like your passion was to make a video game like the video games you remembered, and you still got an incredibly good degree and have a job in that degree, and you also did this all in that time period. Right?
It's
That's
a bit
nuts.
busy. I was making the Great Gaias when normal people are sleeping, in between making models, making video games, and
Yep.
you know, just doing all life, all gets swept up crazy. But yeah,
But you did it.
Yeah, you know, so you know, the Great Gaias kind of stands as that, and you know, I think I stand behind it. You know, it's came out really good. You know,
Well,
for that generation.
it gets a seal of approval from me for whatever I mean, and everybody listening to this should go and find it. So tell them where they can get it. Is it a Steam only thing? Do you have any ideas for further reach, or is Steam kind of the one-stop shop for it?
For now, we're on PC only for Steam. We're looking into getting it onto mobile devices or onto bigger consoles, but we've been waiting to maybe partner with somebody that wants to do that and get that.
I could see there's something about the Switch for me that just
needs to be on it.
begs to have this game playable on that, and I don't know why.
That's what I always get, man. You know, so if any millionaire investors are out there, let's make some money.
And if millionaire investors are listening to this, yes, fund the Great Gaias to be on Switch, and then also send Chris a little bit too.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Royalties, man.
But
Royalties.
fund the Great Gaias first, because I really like the game. But no, that's awesome. So you got the Great Gaias. What's the where can people find you guys?
Oh yeah, so you guys can find us on www.horizonsend.com. We're also on Steam. You can search the Great Gaias, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter. I think Brian made an Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know about Instagram, but yeah,
I don't know anything about those.
You're definitely on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so people can find it. The title of your next game is, and how do you spell it? Because I'll botch
Oh
it.
yeah, this one's rough. It's from the Swedish origin, but it's called Jallarhorn. That's GJALLARHORN. I think I did it.
I think you did. Yeah.
I think I
And
did it.
there is a Twitter available for that. I've seen.
There is. Yeah, we've been trying to been kicking up on the social media scene, trying to get the word out there, and it's tough juggling so many things at once. But I think it's paid off, and we're like I said, we're just trying to. My favorite part is just getting the story out to people, and I just want to keep telling stories, So we're hopeful. So.
Well, the story's great so far, and please, stay connected with me. I'd love to have you on again to pitch or talk about anything. It would be cool to get you and Brian both on as
Yeah,
well at some
definitely.
point. But I mean, this has been a hell of a conversation. I'm impressed that I got started early and that we didn't talk for 3 hours, because you definitely seem like someone that I could just talk forever with. But I know
Yeah,
that this
man,
was
you should definitely do it again
I know
for
this was
sure.
pushing the hours for you, so I think I'll let you get going. Is there anything else you wanted to tell the world about, outside of the fact that you made a hell of a game?
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate all your comments on what you've seen so far, and the enthusiasm and all that. We really do appreciate the support for everybody that's showed us that, and keep a lookout for announcements on our next title. Like I said, it's Yallerhorn, hard to spell, going to be fun to play, and like where the horizon ends, the journey begins.
Love it. So, guys, this has been Shooting the Shit with Chippa. My guest this time was Matt Pappalardo, from Horizons End Gaming. You can find them at Horizons End on Twitter. The game we've been talking about is the Great Gaius, and it's worth the investment. Don't let the price tag get out of your way. You're getting like two Final Fantasy sevens for the price of this damn thing, for how long it is, and I mean it. The quality is that high, and I'm only about an hour or two into it. So I really appreciate it, Matt. Thank you very much, and thank you for shooting the shit with Chippa.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate your support, man. Thanks a lot.